10 life-changing hacks you need to start today. So literally yesterday, I was talking to a client of mine and he was asking me a question. He said, Coach, I'm trying to do three things, right? Three major things that I'm trying to work on. I have my full-time business, I have my job, and then I have a second business that I'm trying to create, right? So it's a lot of things that he has going on. And he asked me, how do I still stay proficient in these three areas, right? In these three things without getting burnt out? So I started thinking, I was like, that's a good question. And what I came to the answer was is that he needed to create leverage. I gave him the story, and this is actually not a story, this was a real thing. I gave him the story about how I was sick 2 weeks in a row when it comes to like my throat, and I just couldn't do my podcast, right? But what helped me to still be able to produce podcast episodes was the fact that I have a team of people helping me to edit my podcast, right? So it's not something that's all on me, but also I have a system. And what that system looks like is that I publish 3 times a week, but also when I record, right? So every Saturday between maybe like 10 and 12 p.m., I typically record, right? But the thing is I don't just record 3 podcast episodes. I typically record 4 or 5. So I give myself some extra wiggle room. So that way, if something does happen, like I get sick or I need to travel, I'm still able to produce well quality content, right? So that's how I was able to create leverage, right? So I have time carved out, but also I have a team of editors that's helping me to produce my podcast, right? And it's a small thing, right? Small thing, costs a little bit of an investment, but nonetheless, it helps me to maximize my time so that I can do my podcast, I can see my clients, I can build courses, landing pages, funnels. I can do so many other things while still being a dad and a husband that it doesn't take a lot away from me. But that's, again, because I've created leverage. Now, what I'm going to do in this podcast episode is I'm going to give you guys 10 life-changing hacks, right? And the thing about these hacks is that you can do them in 15 minutes or less. And when you follow these hacks, it'll make your life a little bit easier, okay? So my whole goal is, how do I make your life easier by getting you to do easy things? It's not going to be difficult. It's not going to be complicated. Trust me. And again, you can accomplish these in under 15 minutes. And the reason why is because a lot of us think that you have to do a lot of big things in order for us to have a really big change. But that's not it. Little changes do add up, and they do help us to have the big transformations that we are looking for, that you are looking for. But I need you to buy in to the fact that small things do matter and they do add up. So in this podcast episode, I'm going to give you 10 of these. And again, they're going to be under 15 minutes. And before I get to point number 1, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get more content like this. So the first step, right? The first life-changing hack that you need to do, and it's a simple one, guys, all right? Don't overlook it just because it's simple. But the first one I need you guys to do is to declutter. And look, you only have 15 minutes to do this. So what I want you to do is I want you to declutter one part of your house. Now, what do I mean by declutter? Just in case if you don't know, I need you just to basically clean up and organize a space in your house, right? A space in your office. What I want you to do is pick a space that you spend the most time in. So if that is in your office, in your bedroom, even if it's your car, right? Spend 15 minutes decluttering it, even if it's your closet, right? Now, why do we want to do this? How does this help with anything, really? Well, what this does is it helps to clear out the mind, right? It makes the mind feel more at ease, being able to see clean areas. Because what happens is when someone is overwhelmed, anxious, and I'll even say depressed, typically what's going on up here in their mind starts to manifest itself in people's spaces. This is why I typically hear and literally see clients who are feeling anxious and overwhelmed, right? Dealing with panic attacks. And also their house is just a complete mess. And it's because upstairs in their mind, things are a complete mess as well. I tell my clients that are business owners, it's hard to have a well-organized business if upstairs, so in your mind, you're also anxious and disorganized. So what I want you to do is I want you to take time to pick one area of your house, of your office, like any area you decide, and just set a timer for 15 minutes and start to declutter. Just start straightening it up, organizing it. And you'll feel a sense of flow. You almost feel like energy is being poured back into you because it's so clean. All right. Now, I'll even say this, because one thing I hate doing is cleaning, especially the dishes. But what helps me to do the dishes at a high level is that I also have my favorite music playing. Now, do you have to have your favorite music playing? No. But you can have your favorite podcast. You have a movie playing. You have anything. You can be on the phone with some of your best friends. Do this and it'll make doing something hard or uncomfortable easier to do. All right, point number 2. And guys, this one was a life changer, and I literally mean that. So about 2 months ago, probably 2.5 months ago, I was sitting downstairs and I was eating some ribs, and I remember I got all dizzy all of a sudden, like literally dizzy. And I remember putting my food down and I was like, yo, what's going on? Because typically, guys, I'm a healthy person, but that night I was just feeling really dizzy, really out of it. And then all of a sudden I just started sweating out of nowhere. And I tried to stand up and I couldn't. I literally fell down to my hands and knees. And with the little energy I had to call out to my wife to come help me. And she came rushing down. She was like, yo, what's happening? Like, did you fall? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I just feel super, super weak. And we tried to get to the bottom of it, but we couldn't figure it out. But what we ended up doing was we decided to go to the doctor. So we go to the doctor and they run these blood tests. And basically it came out that I was pre-diabetic. Like my A1C was really, really high. It was so high that I was literally 1 point away from being diabetic. And this totally caught me off guard because, again, typically I'm a healthy person. I'm a young person. I try to work. And I'll say this, I've been working out a little bit less at that point because having a son and everything, trying to get your schedule right, it can be a little hard. But nonetheless, man, I'm typically a healthy person. And I kid you not, as soon as I heard that I was this close from becoming a diabetic, one of the first things I did was I got a dietitian. I got a dietitian, guys, and I kid you not, from that point to where I am now, so literally over the course of 2.5 months, I went from weighing 237 to now I weigh 211, okay? So basically I lost 26 pounds by simply focusing on what I was eating. Like, that's absolutely crazy. Like, think about all that excess weight that I was carrying around with me. But also think about the food that I was operating on, right? I was operating on a lot of sugar. And that sugar, it crashes you. Even with that, my dietitian has gave me so many different options and recommendations for eating foods that help me with my energy and my focus throughout the day. Guys, literally the food that you put in your body is the fuel that you're going to use to accomplish a lot of things that you have set. Even if it's not even a goal, even if you just want to appreciate and have a better day, have a better mood when you're going about your day, the food that you eat will affect that. Trust me. And I have a lot of my clients now who struggle with anxiety or depression or even addictions. I have a lot of them meeting with dietitians. And this is something that you can do in 15 minutes or less. And I give you guys a website that you can use. It's called Use Nourish. That is a great website, especially here in the States, that you can use to find a dietitian. And for a lot of you actually find that your sessions, they're going to be free. So something that you can do right now, guys, find a dietitian. Start taking your health and your eating habits more seriously. The third life-changing hack that you can do, and again, it takes you less than 15 minutes to do, is to start to reflect on your life's purpose. Guys, when you close your eyes and you imagine yourself at 80 or 90 years old, and you're looking back on your memories, you're looking back on the life that you've lived, what do you want to be true? What do you want to look back and see? Do you want to see someone that was very involved with their community? Do you want to see someone that was a spiritual leader? Do you want to see someone that made a lot of money, if that's your thing, right? Like, what do you want to look back on? What do you feel is your life's purpose? Too often people get caught up in the mundane task of the day. It could be the mundane task of a job, the mundane task of running their own business. Basically, they're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And actually, that's the dark side of building habits. I haven't talked to many people about that, but the dark side of building habits is that your day starts to become very routine, very mundane, very repetitive. And that's why you want to always stop and reflect. Is what I'm doing helping me to move closer to my dreams, closer to my values, my purpose? Because if not, you're going to feel like life is literally just whizzing you by, right? So I want you guys to start to ask, what is my purpose? And really sit down and think about this. This may even be something that'd be great if you take time to journal. I always tell people that it's great to break your life up into 4 domains. So that first domain is career and education. Ask yourself, what is your purpose in that area? For me, it's helping people. And more specifically, it's helping entrepreneurs and professionals with their mental health so that they can perform better in their careers and in their businesses, right? That's what my purpose is. When it comes to relationships, my purpose is to provide. It's to help my wife, my son, to honestly have a good life, guys. Like there's no more I need to say about that. It kind of goes without saying. And then when it comes to leisure, so this is the third domain. So you have career and education, you have relationships, and then you have leisure. So what is my purpose when it comes to leisure? Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I work really hard, man. I'm a hard working. There's a good chance that you are too. And life is not all about working hard. Like, we're working for a purpose, for a reason. And for me, that purpose is to be able to go on trips and vacations with family whenever I want to, whenever I need to, and not have to think about the price of things. That is such a luxury now. That freedom is, you can't really put a price tag on it. And that's something that I love working towards, that. And I'm a big sports fan. So just being able to go to a sports game and get really good seats, like, man, that's what I love to do. So that's my purpose in that area. There, just spend time with my family, spend time with family, friends, doing things that I love without hesitation. And then the last domain, the fourth domain, is personal growth and personal health. So when it comes to like your spirituality, or when it comes to like some of your characteristics, right? When it comes to, let's say, your health, right? Whether it be mental or physical, what do you feel is your purpose in those areas? What is it that you feel that your life is all about? For me, spiritual, I think it's trying to be the best Christian that I can be. When it comes to personal development, it's being the best leader that I can be. And that's something that's very new to me. I never thought of myself as a leader, but because I have these values of helping people, being a leader just comes with the territory. So for you, ask yourself, what is it that you value in those 4 areas? Life-changing hack number 4 that you need to start today is all about gratitude. So we all heard the saying that comparison is the thief of all joy. And that's true. And I'll also say that gratitude is the seed of all joy, right? It's literally the seed that's being planted that's going to bring forth this great big joy tree, if you want to call it that. Gratitude, I tell people, it is a thing that helps to alleviate depression the fastest. Because when people are feeling depressed, it's because they feel like something is missing in their life and they can't do anything about it. But when you have gratitude, you're able to find happiness in the smallest of things. And the person that can find happiness in the smallest of things is much more easier or quicker to find happiness, because it doesn't take having $1 million or having a really nice car, being in a relationship, or weighing a certain weight. None of that stuff brings true happiness for someone who's able to find gratitude in the smallest of things. Literally today, right now, as I record this podcast episode, it's a Saturday. I don't have any tasks other than doing this podcast, which I actually enjoy. But also, man, my family's downstairs. They're healthy, man. And literally after this, we're probably going to have a cookout, guys. Like, to be honest, have a cookout, watch a movie, and we may get some ice cream. Very simple stuff, but it's going to be fun. It's something that I'm grateful to be able to do with the family, and actually have the means to do this. But if I'm someone that says, that's small stuff, or that doesn't count. Like, think about how hard it is for them to find that happiness. Think about how much effort it takes for them to have that happiness that I have, right? Guys, it doesn't take that much, but you have to use gratitude. So ask yourself, or I'd rather ask you, what's one thing that you're grateful for today? What is one thing that you're grateful for, or has been grateful for, that happened in the last 24 hours? When you look back across the last 24 hours, just give me one thing, and I'll tell you to type it in the comments. One thing that you're grateful for. If you had to ask me last 24 hours something that I'm grateful for, is being able to pick up my son from daycare. Man, he has his biggest smile when I come, and he sees me. He comes running over and he hugs me like he has never seen me before. Like, that is a great feeling, guys, and I love it. I need to start recording it, to be honest. And that's something that I'm grateful for, being able to pick up my son from daycare. So for you, write down that one thing and put it in the comments so that way I can read it. All right, main point number 5, and this is a solid one. It's an easy one. It doesn't take a lot of time. But I need you to reevaluate your social media. For some of us, and it may be you may find yourself on social media maybe an hour, 2 hours. For some people, it can be north of 4 hours. You find yourself on social media for a long time. And social media is giving you all this information from all different types of sources. And if you're not careful with the information that you're receiving, it can influence you in a way that you do not need it to be influencing you. I tell some of my clients who struggle with pornography, I tell them, when you go through your social media feed, when you click on the explore page or the search page, and you get all these recommendations, I need you to click on all the raunchy photos or the half-naked women. Click on those images and then click those 3 little dots that says see less often or not interested in. Because what I want them to do is start to purify their social media page. And what they need to start doing is unfollowing some of those, nasty accounts. I wish I had a better word for it. And start following accounts that are more aligned with their purposes. So if you're someone that's spiritual, let's follow some more spiritual pages. If you're someone that's into fitness, let's follow some more fitness pages. If you're someone that's into entrepreneurship, let's follow some more entrepreneurship pages, right? And if you're into mental health like Coach Wells, go ahead and follow Philip Wells at theplayerscoach.net. Or rather, sorry, that's my email. My Instagram is theplayerscoachllc. And on that page, I give a lot of information about mental health and everything that you can think of about therapy. So what I want you to do is just to purify your social media and make sure that when you open it, all the things that you see is in alignment with what you want. All right, main point number 6, and this is going to sound familiar, but I also need you to reevaluate your friend circle. When you stop and you look at your friends, you should feel like there's people in your group, in your circle, that's just a little bit or even a lot ahead of where you want to be when it comes to whether it's your spiritual life, your finances, your career, your business, like anything that you feel is important. I need you to find people that are just a little bit beyond where you're at. And the reason why is because when we find someone that's setting a new standard, a new goal, now, and let me finish this thought. So when you find someone that's standard is a little bit beyond yours, it's going to push you to reach that new standard and that new height because now it seems attainable. Now, what I was going to say was that as you're striving towards this new standard, this new goal, we're not doing it from a place of lack or from a place of not good enough, right? Because again, right now, you are probably very successful. So I want you to know that it's not because you're not good enough that we're trying to become better, but it's simply because we want this for ourselves. So evaluate your friend group, guys. I mean, it's an easy thing to do. And trust me, man, I'm not telling you that you have to no longer hang out with certain guys, but what I'm telling you is that you need to start to include new people into your circles so that way they can push you and show you what is possible, okay? Now, I'll also even add this. Some of these people, it may not even be necessarily like a goal thing, like fitness or spirituality or entrepreneurship or anything like that. But if you're someone, let's say, that's single and all your friends are single, but you want to be married and you want to know how to, manage relationships and things like that, try to hang out with some married guys. Like, that'd be a great example. If you want to start eating healthier, find yourself hanging out with people that maybe take their fitness a little bit more serious, right? Like, it doesn't have to always be like a money thing or a career thing or a business thing. Like, just ask yourself, like, what is it that people are doing that I want to start to do myself? Even if there's a group of people that loves to, let's say, practice self-care on a Sunday or a Saturday, like people that are really good with relaxing, right? So this may be a group of, it could be a group of surfers, bikers, runners, joggers, even people that love to play chess. Like, get around these people. And when you do that, you'll start to adopt some of their habits. And that'll help you to start to, again, have that life that you want. So again, doesn't take you long. It takes you only 15 minutes or less to really evaluate your friend group. All right, point number 7. I need you now to reevaluate how you're spending your time. Guys, man, I got to tell you, I used to think that I had no time for business, for working out and all that stuff once I had my son. But something I had to start doing was really start to become almost like a hawk when it came to my time. Like, I really had to stare at when my son goes to sleep, when my wife is getting up and going to work, when does my son go to sleep in the evening, right? Like his naps versus when he goes to sleep for the evening, for the night. Like, I had to become a hawk. And once I started to realize where those spots were, I'm telling you guys, I became an absolute like monster when it came to actually capitalizing on those times. Because here's the thing, like, I've heard people say they don't have time for something, only to later find out that they added some new hobby or even some new task. It may be a task that a friend of theirs or family members may have asked them to start doing. And I'm like, wait, didn't you say you didn't have time to study for this or prepare for that or to work out or like whatever the case may be? But yet they're able to find time for other things. And a lot of times these are things that are either pleasurable or easy. I need you to find time to do the hard stuff, the uncomfortable stuff, because there's a good chance those hard things and those uncomfortable things are the things that would take you to the next level. But you gotta stop avoiding them. I want you to avoid avoiding, right? Avoiding. And I need you guys to engage with the things that are just uncomfortable, right? The things that are not fun. So become, an absolute hawk when it comes to your time, and sit back and start to evaluate where are those time spots, where are those spaces that you can be productive. You may find that you only have 30 minutes or 45 minutes, or maybe you actually have an hour. Take advantage of that. And trust me, it will grow. It will build. All right, main point number 8. And if you made it this far, it tells me that you like this podcast. You're enjoying this content. So what I want you to do is go ahead and hit that subscribe button now, so that way you can keep getting content like this. So main point number 8, I want you to dedicate 15 minutes for reading for your personal development. Just 15 minutes. And what you can read, you can obviously read books on stocks, books on real estate, books on entrepreneurship. You can even read the Bible or the Quran, the Torah, whatever your spiritual Bible or book is. I want you to start to invest time in building you, because you are the most valuable thing when it comes to your business, your relationships, your career. You're the asset. You're the thing in the middle that makes everything else go. So we need to protect the number one asset, which is you, which is your personal development. I can't tell you, and you can see from behind me if you're watching on YouTube, man, I have easily over 100 books on this bookshelf. There's so many gems that I've read that I've been able to give to my clients to help them with some of the things that they've been going through. But I wouldn't have that information if I didn't stop and dedicate time to reading. So 15 minutes is not a long time. Honestly, I would tell you to buy the books, but also buy the audio books and listen to the audio as you're reading, and then put the audio on 2x speed or 1.5x speed so that they're reading it a lot faster. So that way you can get through the book a lot faster. Real simple way, easy hack. And again, those 15 minutes, it will build. I love talking about Jim Rohn. He says, when you increase your personal development, your bank account increases as well. All right, main point number 9. This is a great one. And there's actually a quote from Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy. But point number 9 is to find time to dedicate to planning. Now, the quote from Jim Rohn, from Brian Tracy, and so many other people is that they say that for every minute that you spend planning, you save 7 minutes in execution. All right, think about that. For every minute you spend planning, you save 7 minutes in execution. So for people who are, again, saying that they don't have time for working out, reading books, studying, or whatever the case may be, honestly, you're BSing me. You're lying. You do have time, but you're not spending enough time planning the time that you're going to use to actually execute on these actions that you want to take. So I need you to honestly pick a dedicated time to actually start planning. It could be the first of the week, right? So Sunday or Monday. It could be on the weekend. If you find that Tuesdays at 3 p.m. is the only time you're free, hey, choose that. But I need you to start planning. All right. When you do that, you'll start to see where these time spots are for you to start to execute and actually accomplish some of these goals, these tasks that you have on your to-do list. And then main point number 10, again, these are the life-changing hacks that you need to start making today. Main point number 10 is to decrease the time between thought and action. This has been something that I've been making a big emphasis for myself and my clients as well, because when we have a lot of time between having a thought and having an action that we should take, what happens is that doubt, those bad habits, the lack of confidence, right? And even feeling overwhelmed, that's when all those things start to creep in. Think about it. If you had a to-do list that was 5 pages long, you would feel pretty overwhelmed, right? And you start to feel so overwhelmed that you may feel like that it's not worth it taking these actions, right? It's I got 50 things to do. How does doing one of them help at all, right? So you don't do anything. And now item number 51 is now added to the list, right? And now you're feeling even more overwhelmed. But what you need to do is ask yourself, when I come up with an idea, how much time do I want to take between that idea and taking that action? And here's the thing, the action does not need to be perfect. I actually would prefer it to be imperfect so long as it's quick. Quickness, speed, it really is the thing that cuts that self-doubt. And then it helps us to improve our skills because it gives us data to later go back and use to figure out how can we be better at whether it's writing books, creating webinars, creating landing pages, funnels, whatever the skill is that you're trying to learn. The quicker you do it, the quicker you get feedback, and therefore the quicker you can get better. So decrease the time between having a thought and taking action. All right, so real quick, I'm going to summarize these 10 points, these 10 life-changing hacks that you need to take in order to make your life easier, better, to have the transformations you're looking for. So number 1, guys, you need to declutter. Just pick one space. It could be your closet for all I care. Just pick one space and start to declutter. Point number 2, find a dietitian. Point number 3, reflect on your life's purpose. Point number 4, practice gratitude. Point number 5, reevaluate your social media. Point number 6, reevaluate your friend circles. Point number 7, reevaluate how you're spending your time. Point number 8, and please, guys, please do this. Dedicate at least 15 minutes to reading some type of personal development book. And that includes all spiritual books, right? So the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, all that stuff. Point number 9, find a time to dedicate to planning. And then point number 10, make sure that you decrease the time between a thought and an action. So these are 10 life-changing hacks that you can use that you can actually implement within 15 minutes or less. My name is Coach Wells. Thank you for checking out this podcast, and I'll see you later.